Welcome to the third module of our second phase here, where we are uncovering the real problems and the deepest problems that our prospects have in order to use those problems later on into our copy and have the highest converting piece of copy possible. Remember, a high converting piece of copy is not about the words you use in it, but rather about how deep you can go into these problems and how good you are at extracting these problems and then plugging them into your copy later on. So all we are doing here is just the setup that we need in order for us to start being able to craft high converting copy. Whenever I'm gonna write a piece of copy, whether there is a mail, whether there is a long video, 45-minute video, 50-minute video, or even a series of videos, an entire event of 4 videos, I'm always gonna start right here. This is gonna be the layer 1 of problems, and this is the shallowest of the layers. It's still very, very impactful if you get it right, and most people, most copywriters, don't even get it right on this specific layer. So if you manage to get it right here, you're right in front of majority of the copywriters out there. Whenever I start writing a promotion, whatever that is, an email, a tweet, a message, it can be a sales video, it can be even an event of 4 videos combined, total of like 4 hours of videos. Whenever I start writing anything, I start here. I start with the planning. I start figuring out what are the real problems of my audience and how I can approach them from multiple different angles and make them aware about this problem, this underlying problem, to all their symptoms that they experience throughout their lives, in order for them to realize that this is the real problem, and in order for me to be the one that creates awareness about the problem. Because again, every single time they experience one of those pain points, they're gonna remember about you because you were the one who told them about this problem in the first place. So let's get started. Now, the thing that we need to do here is a process that I call perspectiving. Perspectiving is the act of putting yourself into other people's perspective. It's kind of like when you have a MacBook like this one and you run Windows on it, it's possible to do that. So basically, you're just running another reality inside of a simulation here, and that's what we're doing with our heads. We're simulating other people's reality inside of our heads and trying to see things from their perspective so we can understand their worldview, and then we can uncover their beliefs, their problems, their assumptions, their conclusions, and everything that makes that pyramid belief that they sit on top of. So the process of perspectiving, it's quite resource intensive. Just like running a Windows operational system on a MacBook computer is gonna be very resource intensive, running this simulation inside of our heads is very resource intensive as well. So I say that because first, it might hurt a little bit going through this process. Having to see things from other people's perspectives, it's hard, and it's gonna be resource intensive for your brain. So you're gonna feel tired, you're gonna feel like you don't wanna do it, you're gonna feel like procrastinating it, but that's part of the game, and I want you to be aware of it, that you have to go through this process in order to have high converting copy. Now, there is a way to make this so much easier for us. Back in the days, decades ago, or more like 3 months ago, 4 or 5 months ago, that process was way, way harder because this was what was feeding all the simulation. Now you're running the simulation both here and also inside of your computer, because we are gonna use tools like ChatGPT in order to help us uncover those real problems. And I'm gonna show you how to do that now. I was thinking about having a module just on ChatGPT or even like an interface, but I thought it would be so much better if through all the entire process of uncovering the problems, writing copy, figuring out what's the pain points and how we're gonna approach them and the different angles we can approach them from, I figure it will be way more interesting and way more useful for us as well to have ChatGPT helping throughout the entire process. So that's what we're doing now. We're gonna start uncovering the problems, the fears, and the frustrations from our audience using ChatGPT. So let's go back to the example of weight loss. If I were to uncover the problems that people in the weight loss niche face in their specific lives, in their specific scenarios and situations, using ChatGPT, this is how I would do it, and take a look at the responses you get from this. Now, the way most people approach using ChatGPT is completely wrong. It's completely backwards. They just try to get it to write copy for you, and that's not how you should use it. You should use ChatGPT to help you with the uncovering process, with the process of finding out what are the problems, what are the frustrations, and by putting ChatGPT into the shoes of your specific prospect, and then reading what ChatGPT is gonna give you as the specific scenarios, the specific problems these people face, by putting itself in the shoes of those prospects. That's how you use it. So for example, here, let's jump to my computer. Imagine you're a 30-year-old woman who's a bit overweight. She's not extremely fat by any means, but she's also not happy with her shape when she looks at herself in the mirror. What I'm trying to do here is to describe with a lot of detail what the life of my prospect looks like so ChatGPT can really understand and get the full context of what we're trying to do here. Whenever you speak with artificial intelligence, whatever that is, ChatGPT, if it is Midjourney for creating images, if it is Jarvis, that's another copywriting tool that we have out there with artificial intelligence built on top of it. Whenever you're communicating with those artificial intelligences, you have to be very specific with what you're asking and you have to give them a lot of context. It's almost as if you're talking again to a 10-year-old and you're giving them all the details so they can understand the entirety of the situation, so they can have the entirety of the reality as we were talking about before. So now back to the prompt here. She has tried to lose weight in the past, but never really stick to any diet or training protocols. So in this entire first paragraph, I'm trying to describe who my ideal customer is. Now, I'm gonna say what I'm trying to do here so ChatGPT understands the task before I give it a task. So I'm trying to figure out what are the problems related to her weight that this woman experienced in her day-to-day life. I want those problems to be real life situations that when she experiences them, it reminds her that she's overweight and it gets her frustrated with this problem. Because the most important part of a problem is that every single time they experience it, it must remind them of the underlying problem that makes them experience that. So in this case, I want to understand all the problems that they face, all the situations that they face on a day-to-day basis that gets them to remind themselves that they're overweight. They get frustrated. They get more and more frustrated every single time they get reminded that they are overweight. And I want to figure out what those situations are. So that's what I'm doing in the second paragraph. I'm giving ChatGPT the context about what I'm trying to do here. And then I'm gonna give you the task that I wanted to perform. So give me a list of those real problems that she experiences on a day-to-day basis. The more real and relatable the situation is, the better. Because of course, we want our situations to be relatable so people can relate to them, so our audience can relate to them and say, oh yeah, I experienced that in my life. So this guy understands what I experienced, and then this guy must know what I'm feeling, how to fix it. That's the entire thing that we want. So now jumping to the answer here. Certainly, here's a number of potential daily scenarios where her weight might cause discomfort or frustration. Number one, clothing. Finding fashionable clothes that she likes can be a challenge, as many designers and retailers do not offer a wide range of sizes. When she does find clothes in her size, they often aren't as flattering or stylish as she would like them to be. This is a very good insight, by the way. Like, think about how many times this person has gone online, tried to buy something, and every single time she buys something online and then arrives at her home and she tries it on, it never looks exactly as it looks on the pictures on the website. It never looks like the models who are wearing those pieces of clothes on the website. How many times she has experienced that, and how frustrated must she feels about that? That's a very good one. Public setting. Places like theaters, buses, airplanes, and restaurants may have seats that are uncomfortably small or restrictive. She may feel anxious about spilling over into someone else's spaces, which can make going out stressful. This is another very interesting one. If you're talking to a little bit more overweight people, I wouldn't say that necessarily the case here. I'm not necessarily talking to someone who is extremely overweight, just with someone who is not very satisfied with her current shape. Physical activity. This is an obvious one, but here's the thing. Activities that require physical exertion, so climbing stairs, walking long distances, or playing with her kids, can make her feel winded or exhausted more quickly than she expects. This can be a constant reminder of her weight and fitness level. Now, this one is a very interesting one. Think about if you're selling to moms who want to lose weight. You can niche it out to, instead of being like, oh, people in London, it can be moms who want to lose weight. If I'm selling to moms who want to lose weight, it would be very easy for me to lead with this argument. So when you lead with that, you have a very strong hook and a very strong case to your argument. So it's a very good one to lead with. Then health concerns. This one is an interesting one because interesting enough, health concerns is one of the least important factors here. Majority of the people, they don't take action when it comes to losing weight because of health concerns, because you don't go for routine checks every single day. So it's not something you're often reminded of. The problem that you want to use to lead with in your argument is something that people experience time and time again very often. Then they'll get reminded of you very often whenever they experience that. So it's something that has to happen in their day-to-day lives. Now, eating in public, she might feel self-conscious about that and that people are judging her while she's eating out with friends or colleagues, worried that they might be judging her food choices. This can make social eating situations uncomfortable. That's another interesting one. Fitness classes or gyms. The idea of going to fitness classes or gym, it can be daunting because she might feel out of place and embarrassed, yada, yada, yada. Energy levels. Carrying extra weight can make her feel tired more quickly, which might limit her productivity or enjoyment. This is another one very commonly used to lead the argument. Do you feel like your energy levels are low? Do you feel like you don't have enough energy to go through your day? That's a good one as well. But this one's beautiful. Self-image and confidence. She may often compare herself to other women she sees in media or in person and feel dissatisfied with her appearance. This can affect her self-esteem and her mood on a daily basis. That's something they experience multiple times a day. How many times do you check social media in a day? Dozens, maybe even hundreds. So that's something that's very, very real in their lives. And you can take it even a step further. If you say, have you ever taken a picture with a group of friends and you feel like you're looking a little bit overweight on the picture and you're standing out from your friends because they all look in shape and you're the only one negatively standing out on the picture because you look a little bit overweight? That's a moment where they realize, fuck, I'm overweight. Majority of the problems, they have those little specific moments where people realize that they are facing this problem, that they are overweight in this case. Majority of the times people say is when you're trying to put your jeans on and they don't fit anymore. But that's something you experience every once in a while. And when you see the jeans don't fit you anymore, you just stop wearing them, right? Now, taking pictures is something that you do continuously. So that's a very good one because every single time they take a picture, they get reminded of that. And then imagine you have that as an argument. Have you ever looked yourself in a picture and felt like you're a little bit overweight, standing actively, don't want to look fat on pictures anymore? If you have those arguments in your copy, imagine every single time this person is going to take a picture and she sees she's overweight, who is she going to think about? She's going to think about you. So this is how you differentiate yourself, is by really figuring out what the real problems they have, the external problems they have, and experience that on a day-to-day basis. When you figure that out, you just lead with those problems and then your communication becomes super strong like that. It's just about choosing the right problems here. So then we have joint pain. Again, this is only an extreme scenario, and it's very, like, if you get to this scenario, it's very easy to live with that because the pain is just so real and it's always there that people really need to fix it and they really want to fix it, but it takes a very good time to get there. So majority of the people, they are not going to be in this stage yet. So it's a little bit of a strategic decision you have to take here if you want to just speak to the people who are already in pain, like physical pain, or if you also want to speak with these people who are way more people who are in mental pain, if you will, instead of physical pain. And then activities requiring weight limits. Some activities such as ziplining, horseback riding, or amusement park rides may have weight restrictions, which can make her feel excluded or embarrassed. Cool. Now, I went even a step further here. After that, I said, I want even more real scenarios. Like, for example, the self-image one. It is a good one, as I told you. But I want concrete examples of when that happens to her. It could be when she buys an outfit that looks great on someone she saw on Instagram, but looks terrible on her in real life due to her weight. Another one would be when she takes a picture with friends and realizes she's the one standing out negatively among all her friends because of her weight. So I gave ChatGPT the example exactly as I'm giving you. Gave it the context, and then I'm saying I want things like this, and I want even more real scenarios. So I'm talking to ChatGPT almost as if I'm talking to you here. I'm explaining the full scenario. I'm explaining what I'm thinking as I'm reading that, so it can understand what my context is and what I'm trying to accomplish here, and then it can refine its output based on that. Let's see here, online shopping disappointments. She sees an outfit on the model online and buys it, excited for how it will look. But when it arrives and she tries it on, it doesn't fit right or look as good as she imagined it due to her weight. This experience can lead to feelings of disappointment and frustration. Group photos. When she's in a group photo with friends or family, she might notice that she stands out because of her weight. Comparing herself to others in the photo can make her self-conscious and unhappy with her appearance. Mirror reflection in public. She could walk in public, see a reflection. Fitting rooms. She may dread shopping in person because trying on clothes in fitting rooms can be a distressing experience. The harsh lighting and the frustration of not fitting into sizes she wishes she could wear can make shopping trips emotionally exhausting. I'll never think about that myself. Never something I experience. So That's the perk of using ChatGPT. You're gonna get examples, you're gonna get real life situations like this that you're never gonna come up with by yourself. That's why you should use it, and that's why it's so good to take advantage of the world's most powerful brain to get the work done for you. Dating is a relationship. If she's dating, she might feel anxious about what her date thinks of her body. She could worry about things like whether she can comfortably sit in a booth at a restaurant, or if her date will be turned off when they hug, or if the date leads to more intimate moments. Makes a lot of sense as well. Social gatherings at the beach or pool, public transport during peak hours, workplace cheers, bending over or crunching down, physical intimacy. So all of those are very, very good fears and frustrations we can tap on in real scenarios of when those problems manifest themselves, and we can use that to lead our communication. Those are the problems we need to use in order to hook people, in order to get their attention and get them interested in what we have to say. And then lastly, what I did here is I asked ChatGPT to come up with a list of fears and frustrations, which is the entire end goal of this module, is to come up with a list of fears and frustrations. That's the exercise here. So whatever you're doing for your specific niche, it could be the same niche you're doing on phase 1. Do this as well. Go through this process of talking to ChatGPT, and then the end goal here is for you to come up with a list of fears and frustrations that this person has and relates and derives from her, in this case, overweight problems. In your case, going to be from the other problems they face, of course. Now, I wanted to create a list of fears and frustrations for this person that derives from her overweight problems. Sure, here's the list. Fear of judgment. She might fear being judged or stigmatized by others because of her weight. This could extend to everyday situations like eating in public or going to the gym, or more intimate situations like dating or physical intimacy. She might be afraid of developing weight-related health conditions, yada, 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 such as diabetes or joint problems. Fear of rejection, that's a good one. Whether it's in personal relationships or professional situations, she might feel fear of rejection based on her weight. This can manifest as anxiety about dating, job interviews, social gatherings, etc. Frustration with clothing, she might feel frustrated by the lack of fashionable and comfortable clothing options available for her size. Shopping can become a source of stress rather than enjoyment. That's a very good hook as well. Is shopping a rather of stress rather than enjoyment for you? It's a very good hook for an ad or for an email, for example. And then frustration with weight loss attempts. She might be frustrated with her unsuccessful attempts to lose weight. It's a very real one. Pretty much every single person who wants to lose weight have tried to lose weight before and has failed at. So it's a very good one to lead with as well and say, that's why every single time you tried to lose weight, you weren't successful with it. It's because of that. And then by using this argument, you're implying that you know that people have tried to lose weight before and they have failed to do so. And they go, oh, this guy really understands what I'm going through. So he must know what he's talking about and he must have a solution for me. This is what I mean when I say that being a copywriter is about understanding people's problem better than they understand the problem themselves. It's exactly this. It's when you use those little elements in your arguments, they're going to realize that. They're going to realize you understand their problem better than themselves. And then that's when you get the visceral desire. Fear of missing out. She might fear missing out on activities or experiences because of her weight, such as certain physical activities, travel experiences, or social events. That's a very good one. One of the most powerful emotional triggers in marketing is scarcity. And scarcity is directly related to fear of missing out. So whenever you have fear of missing out in your promotion, in your mail, in your advertising, it works extremely well and it works so much better than when you don't have it because you're tapping on that emotional trigger, which is scarcity. Now, frustration with social expectations, fear of not being taken seriously. This is a very good one as well. She might fear that people won't take her skills, talents, or thoughts seriously because of her weight. This can affect her confidence in professional or personal settings. That's a very, very interesting one as well. Imagine having an ad that just goes, do you feel like you're not taken seriously on your work because of your weight? And a lot of people are gonna go, I actually feel that, and no one has ever mentioned that to me before. So that's a very good way of grabbing their attention. All these hooks, you're very, very good because they're real problems, they're real frustrations. And then lastly, fear of future weigh-ins, definitely a real one, but not as strong as the other ones, I would say. Now, basically what you have to do here is this. Have this conversation with ChatGPT, figure out this list of around 10 real frustrations and problems that your target market has, and we are gonna use those later on to write your copy, and we are gonna use those on the next module in order to figure out their real problems and go layers deep into those problems. And then we're gonna really figure out how to communicate to those people on an emotional level. That's what we're gonna cover on the next module of this phase. I'll see you there.